Joining me today is Alfredo Ortiz. He is the CEO and president of the Job Creators Network. Alfredo, thank you so much for joining me today. It's great to see you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to see you as well.
Now, the Job Creators Network is currently suing Major League Baseball and the Players Association for its decision to move the All Star game, which is next month, from Atlanta, Georgia to Denver, Colorado. So, first and foremost, let's start there. Can you tell us a little bit about this lawsuit?
Yeah, well, first let me kind of start off by saying we didn't want to be here. We've actually spent the past 2 months trying to get a hold of Manfred, trying to get his attention. We pretty much acted almost a few days after the decision was made. Commissioner Manfred only took about 4 days to make the decision after Governor Brian Kemp actually signed the bill into law to actually move the All-Star game to Denver. And so since then, we've really been working. We had a couple of billboards in Times Square. I mean, literally only a couple blocks away from his headquarters. We sent him letters. We had a full page ad in the New York Post. We had protesters in front of the headquarters of Major League Baseball. And so here we are, right? Mm-hmm. He didn't want to pay attention. He was ignoring. I'm sure his, 7-figure marketing and PR firms was telling him, don't worry, it's going to go away. Well, look, $100 million of economic damages to our small businesses in Georgia and local businesses. Those are real dollars for real people. And so we weren't about to let it go away. And so that's why we're here. And we filed a lawsuit in federal court in New York, basically saying two things. Major League Baseball and Players Association, bring the game back to Atlanta, and with the same expeditious nature that you moved it out of Atlanta to Denver, 4 days, you can move it right back. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Well, then go ahead and set up basically a relief fund for those businesses, small, medium, large, whatever it is, for those businesses in Georgia that were negatively impacted by the move. And that tune of that relief fund is $100 million. And we think it's fair. We think it's the right thing. We're here to really right a very, very bad wrong that was all founded on what I call kind of the spinning of lies, no easier way to say that, related to the Georgia voting law. Which I think, you hear this talked about time and time again now about those Georgian voting laws. They do make it easier to cheat and harder to vote. And when you look at the breakdown of the 8 myths, probably the 8 largest myths of that, they're all pretty much that. They're myths or lies. And so, we're disappointed that Commissioner Manfred made that decision, that he kind of joined the bandwagon of the whole woke movement and the lies that were really spun by, Stacey Abrams and frankly, even the president of the United States, who got 4 Pinocchios from the Washington Post.
I want to talk a little bit more about sort of these two end goals, I guess you could say, for the lawsuit, whether it be moving the game back to Atlanta, Georgia, or sort of having this relief fund that you were talking about, $100 million or more. Of the two, which do you see being more likely? I mean, like I said, the game is next month. Obviously, $100 million is a lot of money. So which of the two do you think might be, might happen?
Well, we're given the option, right? Like I said, Manfred made the decision to move it to Colorado in 4 days. Atlanta was already prepared to receive it. So I doubt that they had something else all of a sudden fill up those spots. I think people in Atlanta and the greater Metro Atlanta area would be ecstatic to have it back. I believe we're honoring Hank Aaron. What not better place than to do it than in Atlanta versus Denver? I think this is the right place to have the All-Star game. For 21 months, people were preparing for that. So, I think, I sit there and I go, let's see, 2 months in Colorado, 21 months preparing in Atlanta. Which city probably is actually better prepared to do it versus, other than Atlanta? And so that's what we really want. We want the game to come back. I think it's the rightful place for it to take place. Let's celebrate Hank Aaron here. But if they're not willing to do that and they don't want to do that, or think that that's not something that is even within the realm of possibilities, well, then restitution has to happen for those businesses that got damaged who really were preparing for 21 months. I mean, think about this. The whole COVID thing happened last year. The businesses that actually survived COVID, the small businesses that actually survived COVID, it's a miracle. And they were really counting on this event to happen. And so for it to be pulled out from under them, we think is a travesty. And really, to all those people who have their thumbprints and their fingerprints on that decision that somehow influenced Manfred, all we can say is shame on you, because it should have never happened.
And I just want to point out from the lawsuit itself, it talks about, the specifics of how much effort was put into preparing. And it says that more than 8,000 hotel
That's right.
reservations were canceled, revenues from ticket sales and stadium food by the more than 41,000 expected to attend the events were lost. So just by the numbers, I mean, you talk about the preparation that went into the event itself. Just crazy to, look at those numbers and what the breakdown actually is. I
That's
want to
right.
talk more specifically about the lawsuit now because there's one part that I want to ask you about specifically. And I know that you said you personally and other members of the Jobs Creators Network were protesting and you had billboards in New York City. Something within the lawsuit, it says that instead of the defendants, so Major League Baseball and the Players Association, going through a legal challenge or through petitioning the legislature or the governor, they decided to punish the people and small businesses of
That's right.
Atlanta purposefully and maliciously. So, do you think that Major League Baseball kind of came together and said, all right, we're going to, on purpose punish these businesses who had nothing to do with the law itself? I mean, they are obviously
I
the innocent ones.
Yeah, I think they did come together to punish Georgia for the voting law that democratically a dutifully elected legislative body
Mhm.
passed and was signed into law by the governor of Georgia. They purposefully said that. Manfred said that in press conferences that the reason why they moved it was because of that. And look, the one thing about this is that it's not like a private business that has the opportunity to do that. It's actually in a very different category because they collect state and local government funds. And in so doing, you basically almost assume kind of like a state role, a government entity. And so they're actually in a very, very different position than any other private business. And so by doing what they did, they actually violated the constitutional rights of Job Creators Network, its members, small business owners as a class, and also the citizens of Georgia. And so, yeah, they did actually conspire to move the game, and they did it. Think about it. How expeditious of a move was that? 4 days. It really kind of boggles the mind, actually, to think that in 4 days they were able to make that kind of a decision, to have everything in place in Colorado, to be able to have all the different conversations that take place to actually move that. I mean, how long was the decision to bring it to Atlanta? How long did that take? How could have they made a decision in 4 days and
Mhm.
have all of their, I's dotted and T's crossed to make that move? I think yes, they purposefully did this.
How do you think you'll be able to prove that in court, I guess, in terms of, with this lawsuit being able to prove that intent that Major League Baseball was actually trying to, target these businesses and these residents?
Well, there's a wonderful thing called discovery. And that's why I have great lawyers that have some great minds and they feel confident about, where this case can go and what will be found in discovery.
Something else that this is just more broadly talking about the move of Major League Baseball, obviously politically driven. And we've seen that in terms of businesses over the last couple of years. And we're kind of in this era of, political correctness and sort of making these
Right.
decisions based on what we think culturally speaking, that society wants. So, from your perspective, as someone who represents, I believe it's more than 30 million small businesses. What's your advice for sort of navigating through this time that we're in?
Well, there are 30 million small businesses in this country. Our membership base, is over 530,000
Okay, I'm
across
sorry.
the country. No, 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 that's fine. That's fine. It was picked up, I think, at one point by the press that way. And just to correct that, there are 30 million plus small business owners. Sadly, less than that because of the COVID crisis. But they're the backbone of our country. And when you look at the importance of small business. Two-thirds of new job growth in this country is in the hands of small business. When go down any kind of your local community, it's not the large, the Apples and the Microsofts and the Bank of Americas and Wells Fargo that support these communities. It's actually the local pizza guy, the baker, the deli guy. I mean, when you go to a soccer field on a weekend and you look at, the scoreboard or you look at the jerseys, who's on the back of those jerseys? Who are the sponsors? They are local small business owners, the local auto dealership. I mean, those are the folks that support local communities and are really the backbone of our communities and the backbone of our country. And so
what we're very frustrated about is that during the COVID crisis, these small business owners were crushed, and in many cases unnecessarily, especially in blue states. Thank goodness in Georgia, a lot of those small business owners, they did have a red state governor, similar to Texas, similar to Florida, where unemployment is really half of what it is in the blue states. If you take a snapshot today, and so but small business owners were hurt, and small business owners are a unique class because they don't have really the resources and ability to speak up. And so the reason also why we're doing this is to right a very, very bad wrong here. They were definitely damaged. They don't have the ability to go hire attorneys or to go to Capitol Hill and speak to their senators. I mean, they're running their business, and right now they are scared half to death that they may not have a business, something that they put their blood, sweat, and tears in, and in many cases their life savings in to make happen. In many cases, it's just gone in a poof. And so, again, we got to stand up for them, and we got to do something here.
Well, Alfredo, I really appreciate you coming on. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on this lawsuit to see how it plays out. And of course, if there are any updates, I would love to have you back on to talk
Sure.
about this, especially the topic of small businesses, especially after the year that we just had and are still going through. So
Yeah.
I greatly appreciate you taking the time, and we'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
All right. No problem. Thank you for the time. Bye bye.